Hello, I'm Mark Price. I read Archaeology and Ancient History at university. I thought I was going to be a professional golfer or a marine archaeologist, but actually I ended up at the John Lewis Partnership, where I spent 33 years of my career. I was Managing Director of Waitrose, the supermarket chain, for 9 years, and I was also Deputy Chairman of the John Lewis Partnership. And I left there to move into government. I was asked by David Cameron to become Minister of State for Trade and Investment, and then under Theresa May I became the Minister of State for Trade Policy, so responsible for doing free trade deals for the UK in the future. I've now left that and I'm writing. I'm a prolific author of business books, children's books and food books, but also I'm speaking about my experiences both in business and also in government. So the supreme purpose of the John Lewis Partnership is the happiness of its employees. There's only two other places in the world that I know of where happiness is an objective. First is the King of Bhutan, who wishes happiness on his subjects. The second is the American Constitution, which talks about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the really clever thing about that idea, now backed up with lots of academic research from Harvard and elsewhere, is if you have really engaged people, they work harder, they stay longer, and as a consequence of that, they're more loyal, customers are more loyal, customers spend more, and the companies are more profitable. So it was a really happy coincidence for me to end up in the John Lewis Partnership, because through my childhood, what I was taught by my father is it's important to listen and understand other people's points of view, because they'll legitimately be different and that'll help shape your thinking, that everybody is equal, that nobody's better than anybody else, and what you have to do is draw out those skills and ability, and that really good business is about thinking to the long term. And so those values that I was brought up with through my father in his own business, I was able to translate into the John Lewis Partnership. So from all of my years in the John Lewis Partnership, I think there are 6 steps that are vital to ensuring a really happy and engaged workforce. There's reward and recognition, sharing of information, empowering people, the well-being of the people that work for you, them feeling that they're doing a job that's really worthwhile, and lastly, their satisfaction at work through the respect that they're given and through the career development they receive. The truth is that business and politics are very different. There are lots of businessmen now who are going into politics, but the world works in a very different way. Politicians view their careers differently. Governments need to achieve things to stay in power. That's the name of the game. Whereas in business, you're thinking about your shareholder or your employees or your customers. So it is different, and I've learnt many lessons now about the differences between those two worlds. So if the UK is going to take proper advantage of leaving the EU and being globally competitive, there are a number of things it's going to have to do. It's going to have to make sure that the government invests in those sectors that are going to make the greatest difference. We need to have a better digital network in order to trade successfully, but also we've got to improve productivity in the UK. We are the poorest performing of the G7, and by a long measure we're 18 percentage points behind the average. And so what I want to do with my books Fairness for All and the website that I've built is to help people understand how they can make their employees more engaged and the real commercial benefits that come from greater engagement.